Okay, well, all right, we'll move on to our next agenda item, and this is with regard to applicants for the Aging and Veteran Services Advisory Council. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Chair Harrington. Well, good morning, Chair Harrington and Board of County Commissioners. My name is Mira Samantel. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services. I'm really pleased to be here with Rebecca Miller this morning, who will share with you information about applicants for our Aging and Veterans Services Advisory Council applicants, also known as AVSAC.
You. Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Again, Rebecca Miller, Supervisor for Disability, Aging, and Veterans Services, and I use she, her pronouns. I will not be using the slides. I will be using the slides, but not reading verbatim or anything like that. So just note that. And just one more slide for now. Thanks. So at the August 26th board meeting, we'll be asking you to appoint 3 members to our Aging and Veterans Services Advisory Council for a 3-year term that ends June 30th, 2028. 2 are reappointments, and 1 is an appointment following an extended period away. So technically a new appointment, but he's been on our council before. 1 is for a regular position, and then 2 alternate positions. Next slide.
For the record, Commissioner Fye has now joined us.
Thank you. Good morning. The Washington County Aging and Veteran Services Advisory Council is a 19-member council that advises the division, 13 regular and 6 alternate. The membership is to be comprised of more than 50%, and this is given to us by the Older Americans Act and some things that we've added. So more than 50% of individuals are to be ages 60 or older, including racial and ethnic minorities, unpaid or family caregivers, recipient of our services. They can be healthcare provider organizations, supportive services providers, local elected officials. Thank you, Commissioner Willie, for your participation, and then the general public, which also includes veterans. The next slide. Yep, you can, let's see, there we go, that's perfect. In accordance with the Older Americans Act, which designates us as the Area Agency on Aging and requires the Senior Advisory Council, the council shall include individuals and representatives of community organizations who help to enhance our leadership role as the Area Agency on Aging in developing our community-based system of services. So we are to have a diverse council that's reflective of the county, community, and the people that we support. We advocate for system level changes provided, and they advocate for systems level changes provided by Dave's Disability, Aging, and Veteran Services regarding policies and programs, and then they help us connect to the broader community to understand the issues and priorities of the community.
In general terms, about how frequently does this council meet?
Every other month.
Thank you.
Next slide, thanks. So just want to share a little bit about our recruitment efforts. So we list, of course, with all the other open positions with the county. We post regularly in our quarterly newsletter and let folks know we have openings available. We attend, of course, summer and other outreach events. We have flyers in both English and Spanish out in the community, and use our networks to try and recruit folks. We post flyers in our lobby, and then we're working on a recruitment directly to our clients right now. So we'll be sending letters, direct mail, and inviting their participation. So that's important to us to have those actual representatives of our services with us. So there are 11 open positions. As I mentioned, 6 are regular, 5 are alternates. We did receive 6 applications in this last time period. 2 were withdrawn. 1 is still on the fence. And then the 3 that I have for you today. And next slide. Thanks, Mira. So Seferina De Leon Dale is a resident of District 4. She works at Centro Cultural as a health promotora with the elder community through their program called Edad de Oro, or Golden Age. She's worked with nonprofits and with the Latinx community for the last 50 years. So she's been around a long time and doing great work. She also serves on the advisory board for Hillsborough Medical and the advisory board for Working Theory Farms. She identifies herself as a female over 60 and a minority, and she served as our chair for the previous term. And if reappointed by you all, she hopes to join as an at-large member of the executive committee, and the group is wanting that for her. The next person is Yaroslav Kucher-Yavenko. He's a resident of District 1. He's president of the Russian-speaking club Faithful Friends in Beaverton, which is a center that includes 16 nationalities from the former USSR. He is a crucial connection to the needs of the Russian and Eastern European community, and he'd be joining as an alternate member because his attendance isn't always he's not able to come to every meeting. He identifies himself as a male over 60 and a minority. Victoria Wolf is a resident of District 2. She was in the Oregon National Guard for 8 years and has a master's degree in public health and administration from PSU. She's heavily involved with Viva Villages, which is a local nonprofit network that helps seniors stay in their homes. And she's also identifies herself as a veteran, female, over 60 and white. She's seeking an alternate position also for kind of her schedule.
Okay.
And so if the applicants before you are appointed later this month, we'll have 5 regular positions and 3 alternate positions available. So like I mentioned, our task in the coming year is to recruit from our own service body, which can be challenging just given who we serve, but we're working on that. Any questions?
Board members?
I have a quick question. I don't have any questions about the recommendation you're bringing forward. Seems very solid. Happy to support, in support of that. I did have a question about the more than 50% of the individuals are ages 60 or older. So therefore 50% are less than 60 or under.
What the part that you missed because you were late to the meeting was the earlier presentation that the Older Americans Act provides for foundational requirements for this, where 50% or over are from more than 50% of individuals are ages 60 or older is the base requirement.
Yeah, so I'm understanding the 13 regular plus the 6 alternate. Are all of those individuals meeting the more than, are they all 60 or older, or do you have people that are less than 60 years or younger is my question. I appreciate, Chair, the comment and the context you provided.
Yes, I'd have to go back and
look at the chart. I think the answer is pretty clear.
Yeah, we get the staff's answer, Chair, if you don't mind.
Well, that's why I wanted to refer back to the chart, because
Yeah, you can
according
reference
to
it.
the chart,
82% are older than 60, over 60 years old of our, so I don't have the exact what that number translates to, but it's 82% are over 60.
Yeah, and then the ones that are less than, what are the age brackets that are, do we recruit people from high school to sort of lift it up, or do we get people who are 30, 25, you know?
Yeah, we're
how do you, I'm just trying to figure out the diversification of the age group. Yes, we need to meet that. The point the chair pointed out, we have to meet that from the Older American Act. It's understandable, but just help me understand some of your outreach on how you diversify that age group to sort of get different perspectives and mix it up.
Yeah, so we are seeking folks that can inform the services we provide. And so the services for younger people would be in-home services for people with disabilities who would need in-home care, or potentially people involved in kinship care. So being cared for by an older relative. So focusing on youth to recruit for this it hasn't been a priority because we really are looking for people that can inform the services we provide. So if they had an awareness of what our services were and were impacted, I think that's where we would, not that we're not looking for them. We definitely work with high schools and things like that to find youth that are being cared for by older relatives.
So I have a question as well. Ms. Angie, could we have Alicia come up and speak to the system of application in general?
For boards and, I think you're asking for boards and commissions.
Yes, yes, not the specifics.
Yes, correct. Just in general. Boards and commissions.
She just needs one chair and a microphone, that's all. Yeah. So, Rebecca, I really appreciated your articulating that one of the applicants is still on the fence. And so my question is really, it's not so much a question, but a need that I'm observing over the years for our applicants. There are some folks, for example, who have learned more about what the county government does, for example, through virtue of our Citizens Academy, civic leaders. And so the way our application system works is they'll go in and express areas of interest. But it seems to me that they're doing that based upon what they've been exposed to thus far and what limited information they may see on the general boards and commissions overview page. So I'm going through the sequence a bit linearly in my virtual whiteboard. There are folks that express, well, they might I take it as they might be interested, right? So then they learn more. And with various committees, we've heard how some folks had indicated that interest, but later on, as they've learned more, they're not interested. And staff across the board has been wonderful about accommodating that. So I can appreciate how one of the members may still be on the fence in terms of what may be going on in their life or what have you. And I totally respect that. I'm wondering that if looking out into the future, we might be able to look at the tool set so that there's a way to differentiate between someone who might be interested and someone who's definitely interested in each of these committees they've chosen, so that we can better understand that, so that staff, when they engage with folks, they can help know that. And so as I've come to appreciate that the tool kicks out this sheet, and it's been very useful. And the tool, the information we've gotten through this has been very helpful as well. So, so the underlying question I was coming to is, do you have to go through the system of calling all the potential applicants to find out that information about, well, was it just an expression of interest versus being on the fence? And is that something that into the future for program improvements you might be able to look at? I'm not asking you to commit today, but so
That's good.
see the general question?
I think so. Yes. So I wholeheartedly agree. Right now, our boards and commissions for the community, we have just kicked off. We waited till the R&O piece was over, but we just kicked off. We're going to do a Lean Sigma 6 process for our boards and commissions, especially in a couple different areas. One, how people apply and then get onboarded, and then the retention piece, making sure we can retain community members, not just for what they're appointed to, but also in the future. Once they're off board, like, let's keep them active and being volunteers. And then the exit portion of it. So a big piece that we don't do intentional outreach for boards and commission, and most folks come in, they see something like, oh, I might be interested in that, and so they'll pick it without maybe truly understanding. So that will be something we are going to be navigating, and I'll come back and kind of tell you all the journey that we'll be taking for our boards and commissions. So it's a robust system that doesn't matter which community member you are, that you see that you may have a role with serving on one of the boards and commissions.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to add that what we've added in is asking members to come so they can apply, and then we ask them to attend, check it out. Then we have another conversation with them and see if it's really what they want. Because a lot of times an advisory council is not the same as a working board that they might be used to or be thinking of. So we try to find other ways to engage them in activities they can do to support us. They delivered some emergency go bags to members, like we're engaging them outside for the retention purpose. But we have found that when we put in the energy And then folks are like, yeah, that's not for us. So we've asked them to start attending a meeting first. But when we're only meeting every other month, then interest can wane as well. So it's a little challenging.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much for, we tend to only see these on a committee by committee basis. And so my question wasn't focused on this committee, but the overall process. So thank you very much. And I think you mentioned August 26th is when we'll do the appointments.
Yes, with
Yes.
28, 26, 28, 26. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. All righty. We'll move on to, another committee. The Advisory Council on Racial Equity appointment discussion.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. For the record, Alicia Sojourner, Director of Access and Opportunity. So just a quick overview on the Advisory Council of Racial Equity, also known as ACRE. They are a 15-body advisory that supports the council on all things connected to racial justice and racial equity within the county. Each individual person currently and in the past who have served has had either lived experience with injustice, especially due to race, or works with individuals within the county that also may have experiences with racial injustice. This particular moment, we have a total of 7 openings. And when we went through the application, we created a subcommittee for ACRE to review the applicants. At the same time that was happening, ACRE was also very busy with supporting the commissioners in the Access and Opportunity, R&O. So we did something a little bit different with the subcommittee because they were meeting every week that month and they were extremely busy. We didn't do interviews as they typically did in the past. So what we did instead this round, we gave 3 questions that we would have asked in the interview, but asked them to answer it via writing. And we said that they could write it, they could call and tell us orally, or if they wanted to videotape. And so we gave them a number of different options. So it wasn't just writing. But they all came back, and through that process, the subcommittee, they scored the individuals. And with that, the top 4 that came out is in front of you. And what we've heard from the subcommittee is that they really appreciate those 4 individuals' commitment to racial justice and or working with individuals who have felt injustice due to race. Also noting. We also had 3 members who were wanting to reappoint, and so those individuals also were moved forward for a reappointment. What else? This is my first time
board
talking
members,
about this. Yes.
Any questions?
It seems like, most boards have a rotation schedule so that they're only got 2 or 3 or 4 dropping off at one time so it looks like you haven't set that schedule yet in this, or
No, it's here. It's in the table.
well, I'm looking at this thing and there isn't any.
Well, for the new ones, you're correct.
So when are there, I'm sorry, maybe I
So they'll
didn't
be
read it in the
3-year cycles, just like the ones that.
all 7 of them though are 3 year, or all 5 of them are going to be 3-year terms, right? So you've got 5 with. Never mind. I'm sure you've got this figured out, but I was curious.
There was some drop off last year, and there was As you all know, a lot of transition in OAICE last year. And so that's probably why you're seeing a larger number right now, because those weren't replaced.
Okay.
So it's a limitation of the way the summary table is put together. I just pulled out the one from the prior committee. These columns are usually blank.
Yeah.
But I really do appreciate your comment that the way the on and offs have worked, these 5 will be joining the existing 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5. There's 5 who will expire in 2027, and then these will go from second half of 2025 out to 3 more years.
28.
They're not very staggered,
Right.
Yeah.
I think is what everybody's getting.
And
Yeah.
Sort of like big turnover twice.
and remember that this is a relatively new group. So we've been working through this process. We had to develop our own bylaws. There's been a lot of steps along this way, and we did have fallout from several. So, I just would ask for maybe some patience as we.
It's a work in
establish this.
progress.
Yes, yes, but all the pieces, Courtney's been very helpful in establishing the bylaws and getting us into place. The other thing that I would like to say here is that at the last meeting, it was very interesting because there was conversation with Acre about these proposals, and the membership team, they were right there with all of the information and really engaging and talking to people. So it is, I remember leaning back and thinking, this is the way things should work. So I was pleased about that.
So I have a couple of questions slash comments, and perhaps Vice Chair Treese and Ms. Sojourner, with your having been at that Acre meeting where the membership subcommittee talked about the process and whatnot. I looked through all the applicants and the sheet that was provided per applicant with questions. And based upon my experience with Acre, both as a member co-chair and since being off of it, I have observed how some of the committee members had not a lot of government experience, period, let alone the difference between the county and the city. And there was a lot of time that had to be spent talking about the difference between city and county. The other observation is that there's a difference between advising a government on policy development versus advocacy for when we have proposals and just advocating for strict positions. So I'm wondering, and the other thing that we rely upon for multiple councils, we as the commission make policy decisions, but we also provide direction for implementation of programs. And I see through other committees and councils, like the one we talked about moments ago, how the committees really help provide input on the implementation. And so I would like to see or learn more about how the questions for applicants can be improved so that you're able to give us a feel in these recommendations for someone's experience with government, not just experiencing the services, but how we go about policy and implementation, because that tells a lot about what it's going to take to get a committee member productive for the kind of advisement we're looking for. And then the opportunity of expanding the questions so that as you go through it, you can gauge someone's experience with providing advisement on policy development and program high-level implementation plans. So any thoughts on that? And once again, this goes to each of you because of the discussion. I wasn't at those meetings. I hear, oh, they were great, but what was the substance of it?
So I can start off with the question around, especially asking more direct questions about government experience. That is something we can navigate a little bit deeper. What I will say is that I think there's a great opportunity within ACRE that staff, along with ACRE members, can help onboard new folks, especially folks who are not connected to government. Often within government, we look for individuals with heavy government experience, and which is great. And sometimes we miss individuals and volunteers who have a lot of experience, let's say in the community, from doing, working with their own community, hanging out with the young kids. So,
Yeah. I appreciate all of that.
And so often those individuals are overlooked for many other opportunities on boards and commission. So I do see ACRE as an opportunity to help people on board to government and understanding, especially county government. So an example, one of the reappointees, Barry Johnson Smith, he's been great and continues to be great, and through the R&O process got a real crash course in Tanya did a lot of that with supporting his own journey, and I see how he took it upon himself to also help others that maybe don't have as much experience within government.
So at this juncture, I'm very uncomfortable because the conversation's gone from high level to specific individuals. So I'll just leave it there.
I'd just like to say one thing that I think, Alicia, I would be interested in talking about with the group after and when we bring the new people on, what our recruitment process looks like and how we can improve it. So that I would add that.
Agree.
I want to briefly just recognize the 3 individuals that applied for reappointment, all of whom have provided significant insight, even in the 6 or 7 months that I've participated as a commissioner. And I just feel like their contributions over the last 3 years and hopefully into the next 3 will continue to be very significant. And the fact that they've chosen to reapply at least gives me some indication that they find that the team is doing valuable work.
So I think we're ready to move on to the appointment.
Thank you.
So the next topic is the ARPA annual update. Is on fiscal year 24-25.
Good morning, commissioners.
Where is a calendar?
This is for our annual filing of our ARPA report with the federal government. So we did that just a couple weeks ago. What is today? I think it was 12 days ago. And I just wanted to take a few minutes before FISA started to say how much I appreciate everything that she's been doing to make sure that every dollar that's been coming to the county has been reaching its correct destination and is on schedule for being spent by December 31st, 2026. We are learning a lot as we go through this process. She is learning so much and helping us learn so much as we go through this process, and our leadership has been invaluable. So I've set all the important dates, December 31st, 2026, and we are on track. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to FISA and let her give you an update.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair Harrington.
Could
and
you move the
Commissioners.
microphone over so that the recording picks up? Thank you so much.
Good morning. Is this better?
Yes.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. My name is Faizan Noor. For the record, I'm the ARPA Program Manager at the CAO. Today's presentation is intended to provide your board an update regarding the progress the county has made across the ARPA investment areas. Attached with your packet is also a copy of our 2025 fourth annual report that we submitted to U.S. Treasury on July 31st, 2025. It has detailed information of each project that is being carried out currently under the ARPA grant. Bear with me while I figure out the clicker. Oops. Okay. This is just a reminder slide that ARPA, we started the journey of the ARPA grant in 2021, March 2021 to be exact, when Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act, providing $350 billion in pandemic relief funding for across the country. The next slide just details out Washington County and the cities within our jurisdiction that received the ARPA funding. Just a quick note, every quarter Treasury receives the data from all jurisdictions and they provide that data about 2 quarters behind it's published online on Treasury's website. So we have April data for all jurisdictions available now. And according to that, every jurisdiction, every city within the county that is listed here has reported 100% expenditure as of April 2025 of their ARPA grant. And with the exception of Cornelius, which reported at 88.5% in April. You will see our detailed expenditure in the coming slides. This is just a refresher on the timeline and your board's actions that have taken place since receiving this grant. As shown here, the federal deadline, as Ann mentioned, was December 31st, 2024, and the county was able to obligate all funds to meet that 2024 deadline. Currently, we are in the expenditure phase, as you can see here, halfway through 2025 calendar year, and the deadline to expend is at the end of this slide, December 31st, 2025. The award for ARPA grant closes in April 2027. So our final reporting to Treasury will take place in April 2027.
Clarifying question.
Sure.
Ann and I had a conversation yesterday and she reminded me, but I haven't internalized it correctly yet, Ann. So sorry, that we, the board, got a recommendation from staff in the second half of 2024 about with regard to
Correct.
making some adjustments. Was that part of our action in obligating those?
Yes, it was. So
Okay.
the goal was we had during the early dollar time period in that 21 through 23, we were able to choose a large number of projects through this board and through the community. As we were expending those dollars, we realized that we did have some projects that didn't go or that cost less or more. And so we needed a prioritization process to shift those funds before we hit the timeline when they had to be obligated.
So we
you all
used
did
that same framework from May 2023 and
Correct.
just made obligation adjustments.
Absolutely.
So I've internalized
You
it
have.
correctly. Okay, thank you very much.
No, that's a great point, because one thing that is missing in terms of all specific board action is the July 2024 adoption that your board did of the remaining money that Ann just mentioned.
We adopted it in July.
In July 2024.
Okay.
So we can add that to this.
Yeah, yeah, for the sake of not making the slide even more crazy, I
Yeah,
opted
yeah.
to point out.
No, that's great. That's great. I'll go back and look for myself to remind myself. So
It is.
I've got my brain set.
Yes,
Thank you
and
very
you're
much.
correct, Chair Harrington. It was part of the second framework adopted in May 2023. So I will show you in the following slide where those projects landed.
Terrific. Thank you.
This is just an overview for the larger audience that the ARPA grant investment has focused on three sequential areas identified by your board as the foundational to the county's ability to navigate and recover from the pandemic. Mainly, we started off with the pandemic response and utilizing the two different framework. Your board focused on pandemic response in 2021 and then strategically moved to recovery and increasing organizational resilience through investment areas adopted in 2023. This slide shows the first framework that was retired in 2023. It mainly focused on protecting the public health and community stabilization and wellness. And then in 2023, your board adopted this framework with these investment areas listed in more detail with the allocates. In July of 2024, your board just adjusted the allocations within this framework. So the additional allocation that was from, as mentioned, money left over or underspending from other Framework 1 project went under these 8 investment areas listed here. This is just a visual overview of the timeline and the full ARPA funding and the allocation cycles that mainly were two, with the exception of 4.3 million that we allocated last year as part of the second framework.
So I should read this from the bottom up.
Yes, I was
Okay.
going to say it is from the bottom up, and one thing that due to limitations on graphic I could not do that I wanted to do is make it chronological left to right. So that was a limitation I had to live with. But I have our team and graphic designer who were able to create this visual for you to see. It also shows the notes, which my financial team was adamant to show you that there are notes coming in from the first framework going into the second framework.
It's very pretty.
It is very pretty.
Tells the story.
It does.
Really tells the story.
Illustrative.
That was the intention, that you see the journey of the board's work through the past 4 years. These are our ARPA reports that we have submitted to U.S. Treasury over the past 4 years. So we started off in 2022 at the top left report, and the recent one is the largest one that we submitted on July 31st, 2021. These are required by Treasury to provide detailed narrative information on each project that is being carried out using the ARPA grant funding, and the outcomes that we have achieved so far using those projects.
Really appreciate the focus on resilience.
Oh, thank you. The next few slides will show you some of the outcomes of this year's report. There is a lot of work going under ARPA grant, using the ARPA grant money across the county. I just wanted to add a disclaimer that it's hard to choose what to showcase and what not to showcase. So this is few things that I picked personally. There's a lot more in the report. So in the interest of time, I just chose a few things to showcase. The two projects here that you see on your screen are childcare provider and family support, and the second one is healthy birth and family stability. They were adopted in the first framework as part of the response to the pandemic. However, your board recognized that these were playing a critical role in facilitating our community's recovery from pandemic and extended their timeline in 2023. And some of the outcome data is listed here on the slide. The childcare provider and family support primarily attempted to respond to the pandemic impact that we lost the capacity within our community of childcare providers. So this project has been focused on increasing that capacity back to the need that we have in our community for childcare providers. And the Healthy Births and Family Stability project started off as strategic planning framework that would help us increase the capacity for prenatal support and in-home nursing visiting care. Something I just wanted to add here is that you might have seen a recent introduction of a project by HHS called Dooley Model Project. It was included in the newsletter, and it is something that came out of the Healthy Birth and Family Stability Project. They used this ARPA-funded project as their pilot to apply for a new grant, and were able to receive a grant through the U.S. Minorities Office to initiate this new Dooley Model Project, which is doulas and nursing in-home care expansion of this project.
I would just want to make a point here. And while we look at this, we're looking at ARPA funding only, but I'm reflecting back on the CARES dollars as well that we had. And the CARES dollars really set a strong foundation around this model as well, I think, in relationship to childcare issues. It started back there as well. So
yes, you're
just wanna bring
absolutely
that
right. A lot of our ARPA projects were developed from the learnings of the money used through the CARE Act. Yes. This is just an overview slide of our county-wide workforce development. This started back in 2022, around the time when I joined the county, and it's coming to its conclusion. The chart here shows you the overall enrollment of students in various training programs or various workforce training programs and upskilling our workers in the county. And the data here includes multiple contracts with community partners to provide diverse workforce training that range from anywhere from semiconductor training to farm workers. And as I said, I am just picking things from our annual report to choose to showcase here. So this is one of the success story that is included among many in our annual report, this highlighting the achievement of our community. This report, this story is of resilience of one person's perseverance and a long journey to from Afghanistan to United States, and they are currently enrolled in the PCC Workforce Training Program of Semiconductor Essentials Training. It's called SET program at PCC, and the more details are included about the student in the story they chose to share with us from PCC's contract. And if you need additional detail, it's in the report about this person. The other thing that I wanted to mention about PCC is that another my Beyond ARPA story is that due to the success of the pilot program funded through ARPA grant, the PCC Opportunity Center has committed funding to continue and expand the training and certification pathways program. All right, on to money matters. This is a overview graph that shows you how we have how your board has obligated, and we are making progress in expenditure on the ARPA grant. Please note that this is rounded figures on the table on the left side. So our exact amount of dollars were $116,852,194. But they're just rounded up there for ease of reading. We have, as of 7/31/2025, we reported our expenditure to Treasury at $68 million. 49 million remains to be spent. And you see our quarterly expenditure in that graph. The table here that you see on your screens shows the investment areas. With the exception of the top line, which is ongoing framework one. These are, again, those projects that your board extended in terms of their timeline are still spending their money that was allocated to them. The other rows are all indicating the investment areas of the second framework your board adopted in 2023. And one thing I wanted to just note that you might see that there is one row that is saying 9%. That's congregate care facilities, and that's our largest number here in terms of obligations. The Congregate Care Facilities Project report to ARPA team once a year, their expenditures, and they take place at the end of our fiscal year closure at the end of August. So I anticipate that 9% to go up significantly higher once the fiscal year closes at the end of August.
And speaking for Laurel Brown, we are on track for the full expenditure of those funds. And actually in the quarterly report, there's an update on those projects. So you'll get that later this week.
So 9% is not particularly reflective of Current.
That is a year old. Yeah. And our expectation is that we're fully under construction and we're under contractual obligation for all the funds. So we are on track for the December 31st. It is Laurel's number one priority for her next year.
I'm wondering, Ms. Angie, for the purposes of our having a clear understanding of how we're on track we've obligated, so we have a goal. I'm wondering if, I think we already have a plan for supplemental budget work in September. So after the fiscal year close, could we, in the same time frame of that overview of fiscal year close, could you come in with, it may be the Q4 report for ARPA? Could we get a feel for that update? And I think just this chart again
Update.
is all I'm looking for.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how much I'm waiting for that.
30th. So just from an internal process, FISA is, I'm going to say maybe crassly, all over this
Yeah.
and is working with all of the project teams. Where are you at? Are there any delays so that we will meet the fully expended by the December date? But we can get that scheduled. But there are no red flags that we have at all of concern.
Yeah, I know in terms of there's true excellence going on program management wise for the ARPA program. I'm just thinking in terms of closeout of fiscal year. So I'm trying to make sure I have internalized what we have funded with the last fiscal year and this current adopted fiscal year, and how I can have my mind really clear on where things are at before we go and plunge into proposed budget year direction for the next fiscal year.
Absolutely. So we're going to take this slide. We'll update it with the new information specifically for the congregate facilities projects, and then we'll just get it to you. I would recommend we just do it in a memo. It's somewhat different from the supplemental budget that we're going to be presenting. So we'll get that to you as soon as we get the information at the end of the month. Is that fair?
Board, do you think they're just putting it in a memo is going to give you the opportunity to internalize it?
I think so, but if
I can come back.
if there's further information, but I also think that maybe, was there a dyslexic moment on the top line here? Is that APRA or ARPA?
That is my dyslexic moment.
I love it.
Thanks for pointing.
It's consistent. It's back to back.
That's awesome.
I was looking at that, but no, I think, Catherine, I was just thinking how to streamline this, and I just want to see those yellow bars going further.
Well, and I guess my question is, Chair, it also sounds like maybe you're interested in, we have a large number of critical facilities that we are actually in process on. So we could also bring that back as a part of an update on those broader projects and just do a presentation around where are we on the construction and updates to our facilities.
Well, the other question and message here is the obligation is done.
Yep.
Okay, so if I just start from the top, any money that is unspent on each of these line items just will remain unspent?
No.
So that's what I'm trying to get clear on, which is why I thought with the fiscal year closed, that would be a good time to say, okay, there's only a year and a half left. What's the forecast? How do we, as the board, get our heads around that? So it sounds like the rest of the board members just want a memo. That's fine. We'll go from there.
I do just want to, on that prioritization that we did back in July of last year, we did actually say that unspent dollars would go towards the congregate facilities projects because there was still headroom and we had moved other funds into place for completing those projects. So we have been shifting dollars into that fund so that at the end of this, 100% of the dollars are spent and we do not return funding based on your direction. So that should not be a problem, but I still, yes, we'll get information to you as we get this updated. And I think it's a worthy conversation for us to continue.
Because there might be, not, I'm trying to figure out what the memos say, and then how do we come back and have a board discussion? Because if some of these money are unspent, and we get clarity on why, maybe the pivoting could be redone and it could pivot to somewhere else. So I don't know if
No,
there's a
the
worthy
obligation's done.
The obligation, yes, but I want more information to help me understand the obligation and the expended, the gap, and then is there more to come to be expended? So I want to create an opportunity and a space for the board to come back and have a discussion. I don't know if you could, when you put together the memo, maybe offer, maybe, in addition to briefing, maybe there is a board discussion level.
So Commissioner Fye, if
Yeah.
I could ask, the word discussion leads to making a change towards something like obligations or implementation. We don't have that opportunity. So all we have is the opportunity for better, clearer understanding. That's different than discussion for change.
Yeah, so let's not get ahead and let's wait for the memo you're going to put together. And then I think my desired outcome is understand and then also loop into the public to understand. So in the form of a memo, my concern is then we won't have that public opportunity to engage the community to help them understand and also start when we made that decision to pivot it to the congregate facility and why. And then, so I am, for me as a one commissioner here, I want to have the opportunity for a discussion if needed. I don't want to have a discussion for the sake of discussion. And I understand the obligations have been made and we've made a decision, but we can also revisit some of those decisions.
Are you wanting a
That's-
presentation so
so-
the community has?
So this is an important point. Ms. Angie and Alex, could you provide the board? I mean, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I think most of us are clear. We don't have an opportunity to change the allocations or the obligations. We've given the direction, it's already set, it met the federal requirements as well as the deadline that we've already adopted by the deadlines and requirements that any unspent funds in the expended column would be applied to the congregate facilities project. Period. End of story. And so they will remind us of what our adopted legislation is. If I have not, I'm trying to turn to you and say, if I have not summarized this correctly, or if you think there's a better way to put it, please step in.
I think we're all summarizing it in different ways right now. So let's put it in a memo, come back to your board so that it's also memorialized in a board conversation. Obligated by December 31st of
24.
24. That's when we had to get all of our contracts in place based on the framework. It was a huge push date. If we would not have had those contracts in place, we would have had to turn dollars back to the federal government at this point. We are on track to have those yellow lines get all to the end of the right column. Right now, we're sitting in this, we're in the race right now. And what I'm hearing from the board is come back so we can see what the progress is more in real time and if there's any areas of concern. When it comes to federal contracting, it can be very confusing for the community. So within the memo, we will include the definition of obligation and reaffirm the timelines. I do want to be clear, we do not have the opportunity to revisit, look at as you as a board or staff what this framework is. That we cannot do that based on federal guidelines at this point in time. Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I just wanted to second what Tanya said. That's our understanding as the ARPA team. And the only time we are moving any of those dollars within that table is when somebody says that we underspend and we have some money left over in any other investment area. And in July of 2024, when your board approved the last dollar, along with that, one of the policy question was, and added in that adoption was that any underspending will go to the congregate care facility. So that has been our marching order since then. And any changes across any projects that end up underspending has been moved in the past year since that July approval from the board to the congregate care facilities project. Just a reminder, the congregate care facilities project actual cost is much larger than the ARPA contribution into that project. So there, when we worked very closely with the county council in confirming how much of the ARPA money can be used towards the HVAC section of that project, we did not fund 100% of the eligible cost. There was a buffer in the total HVAC cost that ARPA dollars could cover and what ARPA allocation was for that. So we have that buffer that we are slowly filling in now to avoid any underspending that's left on the table. Hopefully we will stay there. My biggest concern in tracking this every quarter is that we don't want to reach that buffer. We want other people to spend their money as they have planned, so we don't have any underspending in December 2026. And the next slide just talks about those next steps that the ARPA team is currently engaged in. As we all heard, everything must be spent by December 31st, 2026. We will continue to submit quarterly expenditure report and annual reports to Treasury until the award is closed in April of 2027. The ARPA team's goal is to ensure that all ARPA funds are expended within this deadline. In addition to the quarterly financial report, we have 2 more annual reports left to be submitted to the Treasury. The next one will be due next July in 2026. And then there is a final Treasury required a 6-month report that will cover July through December of 2026 next year. That will be due in April of 2027, along with the award closure. We are engaged in cross-departmental collaboration to maintain and monitor our performance metrics and expenditures. And we are sharing with each project partner quarterly data that we are submitting to Treasury and where they are at. I'm with you on that concern that I had with my team, shared the same goal with my team, that I don't want to find out in July of 2026 that we are underspending money. We need to know now. So we're tracking with each of our project partner quarterly where everything is at in terms of obligation and expenditure. I also, before I end, I just wanted to acknowledge that the ARPA team couldn't have done it without the amazing partnership we have all across our county. County Council, I want to acknowledge Courtney. She has been always a wonderful support and always have answered our question in such a quick and timely manner whenever we come up with a question regarding interpretation for the Treasury guidelines or supporting our contracts. We have hundreds of contracts by now under ARPA grants. So she has been an amazing support. A lot of work has been carried out by our health and human services partners. Public health and behavioral health have been working with us and economic development team. And last but not the least, amazing partner, Laurel Brown, who Ian and Laurel are the ones who make me sleep easy that the congregate care facilities will be spent by next year.
We want that.
So I really want to acknowledge and appreciate all the partners that are doing this work that allow me to showcase their amazing work in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any board questions or comments?
Good presentation.
I'll
Great
just-
presentation.
I'll just close with, I found the document very approachable. It wasn't just vast tables and numbers, but rather really tells a story of the different phases as you've covered and how we've served the community. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to switch over to board and leadership communication. How about we mix it up and do board first? Who wants to go first? Great.
Let's see, yesterday I had a one-on-one with the county auditor. Did some office hours at Clean Water Services in the afternoon. Thank you for hosting me. Hopefully I'll be unobtrusive in the future and not require as much support and escorting around, etc. Last night, Commissioner Treese and I, along with Sheriff Massey and District Attorney Barton, presented, and Lisa Tattersall, sorry, at the Tualatin City Council meeting around the levy. And that presentation, or the two presentations, went an hour and 45 minutes with large amounts of questions. And Aaron, I can connect with you during a break, but I think you and Philip probably need to watch part of the meeting, and there's a number of asks that they had that we need to respond to, particularly around public safety and some data or questions they had. Later today, I'm going to be attending the County Administrative Office's summer social, along, I think, with Commissioner Fye, and we're bringing pie for dessert. That was our assignment, was bring dessert. Thursday, there's Explore Tualatin Valley Board event that I'll be attending at the Hillsboro Hops game. Friday, I have a one-on-one with the county administrator, and then Monday, one-on-one with acting CEO, general manager at Clean Water Services. That's what I got going on.
Cool. Anyone else?
I can go next and follow on Commissioner Snyder's comments about last night. It was the questions were robust, and that may be a bit of an understatement, but there were questions that tied back to the Washington County budget and the level of awareness of where we are with the budget. So it was an opportunity to also engage with a little bit on that side of the discussion. But I will say, and Jason, I'm not sure that you underscored the fact that I felt there was strong support for both levies in the room.
Yeah.
Overall,
so.
and I think
Yeah.
that's an important.
Sorry if I omitted that.
Well, it's not. I just think that there were hard questions, but there was also support. So
They're really looking for information to help them sort of communicate to their community and help.
that was my feeling as well. So so last Tuesday I attended the Tiger National Night Out event and went to 5 different parties along the way, and then ended up at one large one. It was it was really great. That's my first experience going to National Night Out, and it was really a good experience. And I thank both the chief in Tigard and Mayor Lube for providing that opportunity for me. On Wednesday, Commissioner Willie and I joined Congresswoman Bonamici on a tour of the Hillsboro Recovery Center, the CAT, and her main question coming into that tour was, how do you anticipate that the big bill will affect the payment process through Medicaid? That was, and the answer to that question is, frankly, we don't know yet. But it certainly anticipated that it will. But what I appreciated from the Congresswoman and her staff is the looking forward in anticipation that we are going to be experiencing some headwinds, so to speak, in relationship to that. So, and the staff did just a marvelous job of touring, talking about the different agencies that are represented there and the cohesiveness of all of Washington County in the CAT. On Thursday, I attended the Camp Bow Wow ribbon cutting, and that's Camp Bow. But if you have pets, it's a really interesting place. They've taken over industrial warehousing and created kennels inside industrial warehousing, and it was excellent. It was well done, and I
Is it a
appreciate.
private company?
Yeah, it's a franchise, so there's several around. And I had travel plans that were canceled, so I did head over to Cornelius on Friday for the Bienestar Amigos lunch at the Plaza Los Amigos with Commissioner Willie and Commissioner Snyder. Again, Congresswoman Bonamici was there, Senator Solomon was there, and Councilperson Christian Salgado was there. It was more of a thank you and here's what we're doing type of approach from Bienestar, but it was
It was a
good.
nice event.
It was
Their administrative office has moved. it appears.
Bienestar.
Yeah, over to Lincoln.
Oh, well,
And the former
Yeah, I think
home of
he addressed that, in his remarks.
yeah, I think you did. Yes.
Mhm.
So yesterday I spent most of the day over at CWS and got a little bit of heat because I was sitting in Commissioner Snyder's office. But
You have an office over there?
no, he doesn't.
I just
He
told her it
just
was
teasing.
mine. I said, I heard you were in my office earlier.
And I asked him if he if I left my Thai food containers there. So tomorrow I have the CWS Clean Water Leaders Cohort number 4 graduation at Rock Creek Treatment Plant. And Thursday is our roundtable, and I'm looking forward to that. My report.
Great. Anyone else?
Wanna go?
I want to take my 5 minutes, Kevin, thank you, to focus on urgent issues that affect our residents and conversations that I've been having with community members last week. And I want to loop you all in what I'm hearing from our community, namely people are afraid about ICE and new executive orders. We all agree Washington County is one of the best places to live in Oregon, but we've also seen the growing challenges. Rents are high, mortgage payments stretch budgets, and I'm hearing too many residents are spending more than a third of their income just to stay housed. Now, if we consider our recent 2025 point in time count, which found 940 people experiencing homelessness in our county, that's not just numbers, that's classrooms with kids who don't know where they'll sleep tonight, veterans who can't find a safe bed, and seniors in cars instead of homes. This is happening as 2 new federal executive orders are set to change the rules, one shifting homelessness funding priorities, the other tightening who can receive certain nonprofit grants. What happens when the very programs we rely on to move people from tents to housing suddenly have fewer resources? And let's add one more reality. Many of you hopefully are aware, recent ICE activities in our county has made some immigrants and refugee families afraid to seek shelter or services at all. What happens when fear keeps people from the help that could keep them housed? So here are my questions to all of us is, if we know the need is growing, the funding is tightening, and trust is under threat, do we sit back and see what happens, or do we prepare now? And some of the solutions that the community members are presenting, and I look forward to explore with the county leadership and with chair when I have my check-in with the chair, is do we consider path forward around passing a resolution affirming housing first, and what does that look like when federal shifts the um, weakens housing first strategies. And then I want to explore how do we build a rapid response around, some funds to keep nonprofits afloat. Like, what does that look like if we were to help nonprofits? Um, because if grants are delayed or cut, and then the other options community members are really looking forward to is how did the county lead in terms of, be a leader in creating a sort of and I think like Washington County does actually have a track record on this one, is how do we create a nonprofit readiness task force so that we help nonprofits adapt to what's happening at the federal level, some of these rules, how do we become a leader? And then the community, one of the things I've heard is, in terms of Washington County stepping forward and reinforcing community trust by ensuring everyone, regardless of immigration status, for the staff, for community members, know their rights and reaffirm that people can access services without fear. So those are some of the conversations I've been having that I look forward to engage our county to really have a robust conversations about any of these. Because I think we have an opportunity to lead, not react, of course. And when history looks back at this moment, I want to show that Washington County acted before the damage was done. So I look forward to these conversations to all of you and see what we can do to act on any of these clear answers that community is putting forward in terms of path forward and what that looks like. So thank you. And I donate my 23 seconds to Commissioner Willie.
I have a question for you, Commissioner. What venues are you hearing this kind of conversation? Where the purpose of this time is to let each one of us commissioners know where we've been hanging out, what we've been doing, what we've been talking to, who we've been talking to. And so you kind of threw out a pretty broad message there. Where are you going to hear this? And what are the organizations, what are the individuals? What's your opportunity to hear this feedback?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think we all use our 5 minutes differently, and I think I have a track record of using it differently rather than listing some of the places that we've been hanging out. I decided to loop you all in some of these important conversations I'm having with community members, and people. I'm accessible, so people reach out different venues. Some, email. I think we've gotten some of these emails from community members as a constituent, some of these fears. And yeah, I think it's a broader venues of and accessibility opportunities that I facilitated over the 5 years that I've been elected as a commissioner. So it's different venues, different spaces, people reach out. And also,
I think the reason I asked that, Nafisa, is again because we all travel in different circles, but every once in a while we interact with our constituents from different districts, and it's always good to know if we are getting ready to walk into a situation.
I always tell people, reach out. I'm only one commissioner. Reach out to the rest of the commissioners, and I think we all get emails.
So, Board, I just want to remind you that we have a plan of record, and it's represented both through our roundtable plan, our focus list, as well as our rolling agendas. If the board wishes to revisit that and set a new board majority, then that can be done. But once again, it has to be determined by a board majority. So thank you for your individual message, Commissioner Fye, and I appreciate the clarifying question that Commissioner Willie asked. So Commissioner Willie, that
Okay.
just leaves
Yeah.
you and me.
And mine's going to be pretty quick because I had some overlap with Pam and Jason, as they said. Last Tuesday night, I went to the City of Cornelius National Night Out event. They were expecting 1,000 people. They have it in a park there. It is a huge turnout. Fire departments, sheriff's department had great presence there, and lots of other organizations. They fed hot dogs, and yeah, it's a
Food helps.
it's a huge community event. Yeah, so yeah, and just to talk about the Hillsborough Recovery Center with Congresswoman Bonamici. Again, just the staff do such a great job of showcasing, and then the partners that are inside were there as well, and all got to make the presentations to Congresswoman. So it's always great to hear that. We can never remember everything, so we need to hear it more than once. But anyway, I also had the check-in with the auditor. Also had great tacos at the Plaza Los Amigos event, so that was great. And that guy, we all heard this. That taco guy comes up from.
He's moved.
Yeah, he moved to Garden Home.
No, it's Ways House, Sweet Home.
Sweet Home, yeah. Well, I had half of it.
Yeah, garden home. Sweet
Yeah.
But not Alabama.
I could break into song. Okay, but tonight I'm going to Banks, and I don't know, Lisa, if you're going to be there. Who's going to be there? Yeah. So we'll have both those presentations, and then I wrap in kind of my quarterly report that I always give to the cities. And then Thursday is roundtable all day, so I will not be attending COPAC or Northwest Act, but I've been communicating with them on their agenda and those things. So I think we're good.
Hopefully the Banks meeting will be less than an hour, 45
Oh.
minutes.
You know, it's interesting. I was at North Plains doing the same thing last week, and pretty brief Q&A. In contrast to the Washington County Chamber, they were grilling Kevin pretty good, and so they love Lisa and the library, so they just say "Yay team." But anyway, yeah, it's interesting, the venues. They all have lots of questions. That's good. This is a good thing that
Engagement.
we're doing. Absolutely, we need full disclosure on what we're doing. So, Chair, you got it.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Willie. Last Thursday, I think it was Thursday evening, I finally, after 6 years, finally got to the community open house for the OSU Extension Northwest Regional Extension Center, or Northwest Rec. It was amazing. I still haven't done my Facebook post on that yet on my Washington County Chair Facebook page, but I will. I learned a lot. It wasn't so much the scope of their services, but what I really got out of it was internalizing the value of the research that they're doing towards our farms, from small farms to industry size farms here in Washington County, not just farms, but also forest land. Did you know that there's a blueberry tree that's been developed, for example, that has a lower cost of harvesting than bushes? Seeing the different robotic solutions, solar powered GPS that can not only plant seeds, but weed at the same time.
I don't know if I can understand a blueberry that's on a tree. I mean, does that mean it's like going to be an apple-sized blueberry?
No.
You got here?
A plum.
You know, those got to be some hurricane blueberries.
You're using up my time there. Commissioner Will.
It was funny.
Yes, indeed. Stay tuned for the pictures. Yesterday at the monthly chair mayors meeting, we went over the levies. They have reflected appreciation for the presentations at their city councils, but also the extent of work that has gone into defining each of these levies. I also shared information with them about our organization having to make shifts towards federal funding, but also absorbing just the plethora of executive orders that may impact our service to our community. Now, we also keep in mind, and the mayors are very clear about this, that our county services are clearly defined. Their city services are clearly defined. So during these tumultuous times, there's a lot of community sentiment, but that doesn't mean that we as a local government, a county or city, have services that touch on that sentiment. So they're doing a great job. For tomorrow's roundtable, if you could please review the files that are in that, because what did I say, tomorrow? Thank you very much. Thursday's roundtable, August 14th. There are some updated files as well as some new information there, such as the annual business cycle, and we have a lot to firm up for ourselves. Then I wanted to share, we received the end of July, Thursday the 31st, the new monthly housing services e-newsletter. And boy, it was chock full of really incredible information. And some of it seemed new to me. In terms of, for example, a report, there is a capital projects report. Now, it may be highlighted at our upcoming quarterly update, but I just wanted to share that you may want to look back to that newsletter for a quick update. I mean, it was incredibly thorough as an update goes, which is a segue into we have gotten an update from Metro on their SHS reform efforts. Now, I had been talking with Alex about, okay, how do we catch up and discuss as a board with our two directs the next steps. So I just wanted to put a plug in for if you could take a look at that latest Metro staff memo to the Metro Council. And if we could just have a brief planning conversation and start identifying what we might want or need to be on any journey moving forward.
Is that memo something that's?
It's in your inbox.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I shared it with you sometime last week, I believe. So,
Yeah, you did.
So this is my putting in the plug to please do a refresh on that. We don't have to have a final discussion by any stretch of the imagination at the August 14th roundtable, but I'm envisioning through August 14th, then our September roundtable, which is I think is September 4th, then the October roundtable that I think is October 2nd. You know me, I screw up dates all the time, months especially, but August, September, October, I want to lay out some needs that I think we as the board need to consider. Then in August, then in September, we'll go through a further messy conversation and start to frame things up with a hope that in October we can look at, okay, you know, what are we firming up? What are we going to be working on over the next 12 to 18 months? And what do we just have to put in the no column, for example, or CBB or things like that? Very much a together exercise.
And in public, that.
Yeah, because that's how we do our work publicly. Yep. So, which is different than some.
I'm more.
What am I missing?
Well, I mean, we have existing contracts that might be. I just wanted to clarify. It's clear to me we're talking about public.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, I don't quite understand the nuance there, but we can
Well,
follow
we've
up
had a
offline.
lot of discussion in executive session.
Oh,
That's all I was getting at. Not that.
okay. So that was it for me, and I look forward to our roundtable on Thursday. Great. Leadership, who would like to go first?
I can jump into the hot seat and kicking that off. I'm going to talk about the heat wave. Sorry. Thank you for getting my my humor, as my kids call it, mom humor. They don't think it's that funny. So today, August 12th.
They could be right. They could be right.
Dad jokes.
They always make me laugh. August 12th marks the third and what we believe will be the final day of this severe heat event, as temperatures are expected to return to seasonal averages by Wednesday afternoon. Currently, there are no concerns regarding thunderstorms or wildfire risk or smoke. Rain is also forecasted for later this week, which is great. We did not have a need to open overnight emergency shelters. As a reminder, part of this is due to the shelter capacity that we've been able to build up within Washington County. Prior to that shelter capacity, if the board thinks just even a few years ago, we were really reliant on having to scramble and put in place emergency shelters. Cooling spaces were encouraged to extend their hours. Partners are reporting moderate use of cooling spaces overall, with an average of 10 unique guests or fewer, which is typical for an event of this scope. The 4 cooling centers that extended their hours to 9 p.m. and the city of Beaverton is allowing pets as well in their cooling space. So those areas are Beaverton City Library Lobby and Conference Room, Hillsborough Shoot Park Library Community Room, Tiger Public Library Community Room, and Forest Grove United Church of Christ. Also, TriMet is offering free rides to anyone heading to cooling spaces until 10 p.m. tonight, and the 211 information call center will be open for weather-related support until 11 p.m. Yesterday, there were 4 heat-related visits to the emergency department emergency room, which is lower than average. Later this morning, the Office of Emergency Management will be sending out an alert reminding those that have opted in of all available resources, and that even a few hours in a cooling space might mitigate heat-related concerns. One question that I get asked pretty frequently is Multnomah County had issued an emergency declaration. The reason Multnomah County commonly does that during heat or severe winter weather related is because that kicks in TriMet's ability to offer free rides. So that is why Clackamas doesn't do that, or Washington County sometimes. So that's a very common question that I get asked. So I just want to reshare that information. Also, some work that the board has heard about, but the board does not see the activity in action, is staff are actively nearing the end of what we think of as 2025 and the ERP go live date. That's our enterprise resource management software system planning. So we are currently in testing, and we have what's called lockdown, no changes that can be made to budget format, payroll, large changes, et cetera, because we're in parallel testing environments to test the current system against the new system. So I just want to give a shout out to the many staff across Washington County that are involved in this work. Also, planning ahead, I will be out of office August 20th through 28th. This will be the first time in my full career that I will not be taking my work phone or my work laptop. This is anxiety on me. It's no to not be taking these devices because I've never done that, but I know I can't help myself if I have them, and I will continue to work. So if you need anything before this time, please make sure to schedule meetings with me. However, I do believe I have one-on-ones with each of you before I leave. While I'm out, Marnie Kyle will be serving as acting.
Thank you for the reminder because I had you going this Wednesday, not next Wednesday. I had you both. A whole week early. I'm sorry about that.
I got to get my
I
kids
didn't
ready
make
for
sure.
school. That concludes my
I-
update.
Can I ask you a question,
Mhm.
Tanya? It reminded me when you said about when you were speaking about the ERP, an email you sent to us about payroll changes in there. I really appreciate the information that you provided in that email as well as what's available to us and staff on the Horizon website. Very, a lot of information helped me further understand the impacts. The question I understand that this 2025 fiscal year, rather than 20, there's going to be one short paycheck. So instead of 26, there's going to be 25, but then or 20, 25, and then next year we'll have extra paycheck. I follow the information that's been provided. What I don't understand, and I didn't comprehend from the information that's available, is obviously it's question about the vacation accrual and how that impacts staff. So will there be changes to accrual for vacation and sick for staff as it has for payroll paychecks?
Yeah, so we will still be able to maintain over time the vacation and sick accruals. Once again, just for a matter of the record, what we are doing is in essence extending the period by 1 week of payroll processing. Right now in Washington County, we have 1 week to process payroll. It has presented risk with grants management, who with grants, especially federal, state, want accurate payroll costing. In addition, every pay period, staff are having to correct about over 100 paychecks, and this is related to overpayment or underpayment, typically with hourly employees. We'll make sure that that information in upcoming employee Q&A is clear on vacation sick time. I haven't heard that question come up yet from staff.
Thank you. We've been over this topic multiple times through leadership communication, so thank you for following up offline. Alex.
Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Last week, I think one of you asked for an update regarding tax foreclosures in light of the Supreme Court's recent decision in Tyler versus Hennepin County. We provided your board with an update last week, particularly a discussion of the Oregon legislature's recently passed tax foreclosure surplus proceeds bill, House Bill 2089, which codifies how the state will implement the Tyler decision. That act goes into effect September of this year. So should you have any questions about the information we provided last week, we'd be happy to schedule one-on-ones with you at your convenience. And Jason Bush is our expert, so I'm going to bring him along. Anya noted unsung heroes, and speaking of unsung heroes, just a couple of internal announcements to County Council's office. First one is bittersweet. We'll be saying goodbye to our valued colleague, Assistant Senior County Counsel, Jacqueline Saito, at the end of next week as she embarks on a much-deserved retirement.
Oh, goodness.
I just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Jacqueline because she has worked for this county for 25 years. And she is one of the most dedicated public servants I've encountered in my short 2 months here, but also in my 20 years of public service. Just in my short time here, I've seen her go above and beyond what anyone would expect, including she's online a week out from retirement now, watching this and chatting with me about SHS.
So how does a 25-year-old retire so early?
You know, I asked
Could you
her that
just check
question.
her?
She wouldn't tell me, so you're going to have to.
So she is now retired.
She'll retire next week.
Oh, next week. Holy smokes. Congratulations, Jackie. Wow.
I appreciate that. So, and thank you to Jacqueline for everything that she's done for this office over the years. And while it is bittersweet, we're happy for her, but we do have some good news to close with. I'm excited to introduce you to Mr. Dave Lewis, who's sitting next to Courtney. Dave is our new Assistant Senior County Counsel for litigation. He started with us yesterday, so he's really a veteran, I would say.
Did he
Dave-
tell you what happened to him when he first started?
Promised him I wouldn't do that. Dave comes to us from City County Insurance Services. He served as a litigant for many years, and prior to that, Dave spent a long time in private practice defending municipalities, and in particular law enforcement agencies and civil litigation. So that experience is just going to be incredibly helpful to our office, to this county, to our clients. And we're thrilled to have him on board. And so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to see Dave's face because you'll see him again.
Well, thank you. As Alex said, I've defended Oregon cities and counties in civil litigation since 1995 as outside counsel. I was in-house at City County Insurance Services from 2007 until last week. I'm also a Washington County resident. I have lived in Washington County for 24 years.
Yay!
I'm excited to be part of.
But which district?
Yeah, which district?
Don't ask.
Yeah.
Tread carefully unless it's court.
I think it's
Do you really want the answer?
Yeah.
That question.
My
Alex has the
not-
answer.
On counsel, advice of counsel.
I live in Cedar Mill.
Are you my neighbor like Alex moved in right next door to Jason? Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. With that, that's all I have for you today. So thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All righty. CWS, I'm up.
Good morning, CWS Board of Directors. Wanted to mention that this past Wednesday, I attended the Washington County Leadership Meeting. Tanya led that meeting. I'm happy to report all her jokes were well received. Good job. Seriously, the group, it was a good meeting. I was interested and engaged. The whole group was very interested and engaged, kind of hearing about some of the challenges that the county's facing. And I know we all found it a good learning experience. Some of the approaches Tanya's taken. I was taking notes, and so were others in the room. So, nice work on that. Following the meeting, I was able to hang out with Paul Matthews from TBWD to talk a little bit about our investigation into alternative billing practices. And it was a good, positive discussion, collaborative approach. Talked about some of the history, some of the current things we're looking at with the billing, and just the journey that we're going to be taking to get to that answer. So I think he appreciated having the time and kind of to hear directly what the folks at the district and myself are thinking on that. Clean Water Leaders Graduation tomorrow was mentioned. Thank you, Vice Chair, for coming to that. It's our 4th leaders cohort that will be graduating. We have 14 leaders. I was Friday, I think it was, we were picking the group for the next class. One of the things that impresses me about this, it's a very deliberative process to get lots of different representation across the district. Represented and non-represented folks alike will be joining this class. And I think it's about 1/3 of this past one that were represented staff. So the program session went from April through August, covers strategy, communication, working with the public, leadership foundation, strengths, belonging, public service, conflict management, personal resilience, and stress management. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. So everybody that I've ever talked to has really found it to be a great program. I've been able to be a mentor for a few folks going through it. So that part is also, I think, a winning approach that we're happy that we have. This Thursday, a crew of about 40 folks are going to be at my house filming a commercial for the new Toyota RAV4. My parents, to their dismay, I was not invited to be an actor in that commercial, so I will be at Roundtable instead. Happy to be here. Look forward to talking about policies and procedures in particular. Is one of the focuses that we're looking forward to getting together with you all on.
Great. Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, we have a 15-minute break coming up, and then we will return can we start at 10:55 for our executive session? Okay,
And Chair, we have a letter.
I was gonna say
Oh.
one topic.
that's right.
TV Highway.
Yes, thank you. Let me pause on the break in executive session. We have a letter from a memo to us rather from Stephen Roberts and a letter to us from TriMet. So Stephen, you want to give us an overview, please?
Happy to do that. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Stephen Roberts, your Land Use and Transportation Director. TriMet, I just wanted to put this in front of you all, has requested the appointment of a board member or an executive staff member to serve on what they're calling a policy and budget committee for the TV Highway Transit Project. So just by way of refresher, the project moved through its initial planning stage. That work was led by Metro and culminated in February with the adoption of a locally preferred alternative. That's now been adopted by all of the affected agencies. And so now the project's moving into the project development phase. And we just received an email late Friday that it actually officially, the TriMet officially submitted that application to go into project development to FTA. So the project's moving right along. So this policy and budget committee would be a sort of high-level advisory committee. It doesn't really have any decision-making authority. However, it will be influential in providing advice and guidance to the TriMet team that are leading the project development work. There's also going to be a separate community advisory committee that will also be staffed or that will be appointed for this project as well. That will be kind of a complementary committee to this policy and budget committee work. This is expected to be about a 2-year duration process to get through the project development stage. So first meeting in either November or December of this year, and then anticipated to run through about December 2027. And with that, happy to answer any questions that you have.
So I'd like to kick off the board conversation about this. I appreciated the memo as well as the map that was provided for the project area. As pointed out, this corridor does for some districts, it is, given that it's a significant principal arterial, it touches multiple districts. So I think my recommendation comes out of the fact that, as highlighted here, this is project design dealing with policy and budget decisions and taking learnings from how the prior committee got us to the LPA and how the communication and representation from our board worked. Given that this, I have a lot of experience as a Metro councilor, but also 6 years as chair over what the level of scope of work is and how there can be some contentious design decisions and budget decisions. So given the scope of the project and how they're at a high level, there are really 2 areas of improvement with this. There is the area from the terminus, Forest Grove, through to the Hillsborough Transit Center. And then there's the second segment from Hillsborough Transit Center to the Beaverton Transit Center. I would like to recommend that we consider either the District 4 commissioner, because of the extent of improvement long overdue for BRT from the terminus east-west, as well as for District 2, because of the level of interdependency between the improvement, the effect to that whole corridor, to the Beaverton Transit Center, the effect on businesses, the workforce, and so forth. So I've reflected a bunch on this, knowing that this would be coming and leveraging the information as I mentioned. So that's my recommendation for board consideration, but it is just one recommendation for discussion.
Stephen, can you comment on, it looked like it could either be a board member or a staff member. Does our staff have a recommendation on that point specifically? I think I did not see a very specific recommendation unless I missed it.
No, we didn't make a recommendation. We really wanted to just bring you the opportunity to talk about it as a body. I did talk to TriMet staff as of late Friday, and they indicated that the jurisdictions that have responded so far are all going to proceed with appointing an elected official.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is what was done for the division BRT as well. And believe me, there was a lot of work that went into that, which is.
So you're comfortable with that? I mean, that
Absolutely.
that would be your I mean, you haven't said it.
Yeah, and we'll be there to staff whoever the elected official is. So we'll be there providing support for them.
Well, I'm surprised to hear the chair's recommendation. I've been involved in this project for all these years, and I've been here, and I know that this requires consistent leadership. So I would like to continue this project and be board rep on this. Continue to represent our board on TV Highway project. I understand there's no decision making involved here, but I'm ready to be deployed and ready to continue.
Is there a situation where there's an alternate as well? I know that Commissioner Willie was the alternate previously.
No, that was
TV Highway first.
There was no alternate. We had one representative and he just attended regularly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I apologize. I knew you were very engaged in that, but I just didn't know what your role was.
Right. And that's a great question, though, Commissioner, that there is no designated alternate position. However, it may make sense as a group if for some reason your appointee is unable to attend, either designating myself or another commissioner as a potential alternate that could substitute. We can definitely let TriMet know that preference.
I think my only question would be, obviously, you said this goes until December of 27. I will not be elected in 27.
Yes, but we'll still have a District 4 commissioner and the committee, the community needs remain.
Okay, so the District 4 commissioner would step in.
Yep.
Not you.
No, that's why my recommendation was looking at either the District 4 commissioner or the District 2 commissioner. Frankly, I think having gone through the division BRT and knowing how scope changes can be reduced, and all of my years of service out for the Metro District 4, we would be well served to keep reinforcing improvement all the way through Forest Grove.
Absolutely, yeah. The Forest Grove Dales Road leg is an important part of that with the high capacity that they or high amount of riders that they have.
So it sounds like you're amenable.
Yeah, I'd do that.
So
I would act as alternate if you need that. Do we need to take a vote here?
It's our decision.
Okay. Well, I know that Nafisa also.
Yeah, it sounds to me like there's a last minute push to get involved in spaces and projects. And I firmly believe our residents deserve consistent leadership, not political scramble. And I've been involved in this project for all 5 years, and I've been here, and I know that lasting progress comes from steady work, not a last minute politics. So I would like to remain on this and to continue to represent our board. And Commissioner Willie, I'm happy for you to continue as my alternate as we have in the past. For TV Highway, you've consistently attended, and I think that relationship and that model worked. So I'd like to continue that forward.
So Commissioner Fye, I will say that you had an appointment to serve on the prior committee. And we all have a right as 5 different individuals whose districts are affected by this district. And I'll say one of the reasons why I made the recommendation that I did is because of the fact that this board did not get the level of representation for board direction versus District 1 feedback in that project. And that's one of the reasons why I find your positioning of this as into politics is false. I don't believe that assertion at all. And I made my recommendation off of a basis of fact. And I stand by that recommendation based upon community need and the reality of knowing what goes into this type of corridor planning at this phase. So I'll leave it at that and
Well,
see
just,
if
I just
other.
I want to assure you, this isn't politics. This is my 3rd TV highway study. So I've been engaged in this since I was a mayor, and I think I bring that history to this. So that's the only reason I've agreed to do this.
And I served on one of those committees with you.
Again, does sound like last minute push to get involved in spaces and projects. Our residents deserve consistent leadership, not political scramble. I've been involved in this project for all 5 years, and I've been here and consistently keeping this board involved. And I know that lasting progress comes from steady work, not a last minute politics. So the board can decide. I've said what I've said. I stand by it. And here we go.
Commissioner Snyder, would you like to weigh in as the rest of your colleagues have already weighed in?
Yeah, I was considering just, I know that's unusual for me to not say anything, but I could make arguments, I think, compelling arguments for everybody's participation besides my own in this work. And I think that I understand and have heard the concerns around representation in some of the prior work. I also think that the amount and scope of what is in District 4 is fairly compelling around this corridor. I also think that Commissioner Fye has led on much of our transportation work in the last few years. And so that sort of lends itself to her, but I am comfortable with the District 4 commissioner representing as has been proposed, but I don't have a strong feeling about that.
So for the purpose of time, taking everyone's comment in, I'm hearing a proposal from a majority to appoint the District 4 commissioner and have the District 2 commissioner as alternate.
And you say that's not a last minute political scramble?
Commissioner Fye, once again, this need has just come up through our staff. I don't agree with your positioning of this as political
scramble. You can say it. It is.
You're welcome to your opinion, ma'am.
I know.
If someone else has a different recommendation from the scope of this conversation, please offer it. Okay, we have a recommendation. We're asked by staff to come to a decision. What are the wishes of the commission in terms of direction?
Thank you for it.
Okay, thank you. do you need this to, I think we should, as usual, articulate the board direction through a letter.
Yes, and we'll draft a letter and bring that back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this juncture, we will take a 15-minute break and we will reconvene in executive session at 11:10. For ease of point, do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session starting at 11:10 pursuant to ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub D for the purposes of discussing labor negotiation?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? It's unanimous, 5-0, and we will reconvene at 11:10 in executive session. Thank you.